Welcome, geometry students. Today we're going to be learning about target 1.1, which is to find side lengths in right triangles using the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem states in a right triangle, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, where c is the hypotenuse. So there's two things I want you to be aware of with that Pythagorean theorem. First is it requires you to be using a right triangle, not an acute triangle or an obtuse triangle. The second is in this formula, it's very important that you put the hypotenuse in the correct location. So the hypotenuse must be the value of c. If we look at this diagram of the right triangle here, we have two legs and one hypotenuse. The two legs are the shorter of the sides of the triangle, and they're what come together to make the right angle. And then the hypotenuse is the longest side length in all right triangles, and it is across from the right angle. If you notice here, the two legs, again, that make the right angle, have to form A and B. It doesn't matter in which order you put them in, but the two shorter side lengths, or the legs, have to be A and B, while the hypotenuse must go into the value of C when working with the Pythagorean theorem. Let's take a look at our first example. Example 1 says to find the length of the hypotenuse of the right triangle. Round your answer to the nearest tenths. So we're finding the length of the hypotenuse in this triangle here. What we want to decide is where x is going to go. Is it going to go into one of the leg values, or is it going to go into the hypotenuse? Well, if you notice here, it is across from the right angle, so therefore x, our unknown, is going to go into the hypotenuse. So we're going to begin by writing our formula. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. The two legs are 5 and 3.8. So again, the order in which you put those into our formula does not matter. 5 squared plus 3.8 squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared, which in this case is our unknown side length. So when we simplify our values, 5 squared, or 5 times 5, is 25, plus 3.8 squared, which is approximately 14.44, is equal to x squared. After we combine our like terms and simplify the left side of the equation, the result is 39.44 is equal to the quantity x squared. Now this particular problem asks us to find the side length, not the side length squared. So we need to deal with this by undoing the square. And the opposite operation, or inverse operation of square, is to square root. So we need to square root both sides. What that does is cancel the square on the right side of the equation, isolating x, and then the left side is going to simplify to be about 6.3 units. So x is approximately the length of 6.3 units. Now looking back at our original problem, we need to know that the hypotenuse has to be the longest side, and this is one way to just real quick check for any red flags. Since this does hold true, then that helps us to know that that's a good answer. We did make sure to round to the nearest tenths, as you notice, because that was a requirement of this problem. So we want to make sure we attend to the precision being asked of us in the directions. All right, here's example 2. It says a 16-foot ladder rests against the side of the house, and the base of the ladder is 4 feet away. Approximately how high above the ground is the top of the ladder? So here we are, we have our 16-foot ladder. We know it's 4 feet from the base of the house, making a right angle with the ground and the home. And then we want to know how high the ladder is off the ground. So what is the length of that? Now the first thing you want to ask yourself is, are we finding a hypotenuse or a leg? And in this case, we're given the hypotenuse and we're finding a leg. I'm going to go ahead and give you a minute to try this problem. It's very similar to the previous example, so look back at that if you need to. So go ahead and pause the video and try this problem. All right, hopefully you've given yourself the time to try example 2, and you should have found that the answer is 15.5 feet. If you did not get that result, please go back and make sure that your hypotenuse is 16. So in other words, the C value should be 16. If you're still not getting that answer, please make a note and talk to me about it in class the next time we meet. All right, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. Bring your notes with tomorrow and any questions you may still have. We'll finish that up and begin practice with applying the Pythagorean Theorem in class. Have a great day, and I'll see you real soon.